Okay, so let's talk about your spiritual advice first, okay? This is your energy, the Queen of Swords in the reverse position. This is the embodiment of that Libra sharp tongue. The mind, the rational mind over like ruling the emotions, okay? I feel like in your spiritual advice, this is a card about, letting your sword down and listening to what the other person is saying, listening to what the other person is truly telling you. And try not to overthink, try not to read between the lines, try not to dissect it. Take everything that they are telling you and they are saying to you at face value. When you embody this energy, I feel like trust issues coming into the picture, okay? Feeling like you have to outmaneuver the other person in order to get a straight story, or feeling like you can't really trust everything that they're telling you at face value. And so be careful about that energy. So that's your spiritual advice for this week. It's going to serve you well to overcome a lot of emotional and communication blockages between you and another person when you can just, be physically available, listen to what they have to say, and honestly, take everything at face value, okay? Don't read too much in between the lines. The center of the spread, we have this really beautiful card. This is the Star. This is wish being fulfilled, wish being granted. She's naked. So I usually think of this as, with a lot of air signs, it is so difficult for us to kind of like not put that armor on, right? Like, it's hard to be naked and vulnerable and feel like the other people are not judging us and then feel like the other people can accept us for the way that we are. And I feel like this is a week of healing for you if you've been dealing or battling these issues where, it's like body image issues, not feeling comfortable in your own skin, not having the body that you want, not feeling like you want to be intimate with another person for whatever reason. I feel like this is the week where you're finally getting yourself in shape, you're feeling like really strong and just comfortable in your own skin, and you're feeling like you want to share that intimacy with another person, and you're at a point where you want to be vulnerable, you want to put that sword down, you want to stop fighting, and you want to really express how you feel with another person. In the challenge position, we have here the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords, I feel like this person, if you've had surgery, if you've been battling illnesses, this is you coming out of it, okay? You're kind of like on the tail end of it. It's going to happen for you, and I feel like especially the last weekend of this month, moving into the time of Scorpio, everything's going to be fine. But as of right now, in the challenge position, it's in the reverse position. So this is like something has its hold over you. You're not 100% able to remove yourself from it yet. And a lot of it is mental energy. It's like fearing, if I take this course of action, what's going to happen? What's going to happen 4 months from now, 5 months from now, further down the line, rather than just living in the moment and acting on what your intuition is telling you to do right now. I feel like you're projecting, as is the nature of all air signs. We project into the future, and we kind of fearfully talk ourselves out of doing things that are really good for us because we tend to project. We tend to think about worst case scenarios. We tend to run many multiple scenarios about the future of things, and then we get so inundated with fear and we don't take the action. In the past position, I have here the Strength card. So there are a lot of things on here that indicate to me as well, like healing, like physical symptoms or physical malice or some physical type of weakness that you're overcoming. I also feel with this card, this is sort of like having a difficult conversation with another person where they might tell you some things, okay? So it's like they're letting their guard down, they're letting their pride down, and they're telling you some things. And I feel almost like you have to draw it out of this person. And I'm also sensing this is them at their most prideful, where they're not willing to communicate, but it's also them in this present moment at their most vulnerable, where they're telling you, this is why I did what I did. And I feel like for some of you, it's taking you by surprise. And then, of course, you mull it over, you go home, and then you overanalyze the heck out of it, and you don't take it at face value. So whatever someone is telling you in the past, and if you're still dealing with them in the present or the future, take it at face value. Crowning this reading is, we have the Seven of Wands. This is battling a lot of responsibilities, being in really high demands where people are constantly coming to you and they're asking you to troubleshoot, they're asking you to solve their problems. You're playing therapist, or you are, being inundated with a lot of just people demanding your attention, okay? Crowning this reading is something that you are thinking about. It's not physically happening, but I feel like you're anticipating this. You're anticipating engaging in some type of a conflict. You're anticipating like this floodgate of emotions that's going to open with another person, and they're going to make such heavy emotional demands on you. And I feel like that makes you feel really uncomfortable and you're dreading it. In the foundation, we have the Six of Cups in the reverse. A lot of responsibilities when it comes to child rearing, taking care of children. I pulled out 3 cards to clarify as well. What I have here is the Five of Wands, and this is like competition. This is also like conflict that has come to an end. It's still making you very emotionally like rattled. You're still not over it yet, and you're kind of afraid that it's going to make a comeback. And we have as well the Queen of Cups. This is a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, or a Scorpio, that you might have had a falling out with, that you might not see eye to eye with, that you might have shared children with, and there are some issues regarding whose responsibility it is, who's doing what, and what the kids are up to. In the future position, we have here the Queen of Wands. This is somebody that I feel you are heavily dealing with, okay? Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. This is someone who's very, very popular, quite attractive, and I do feel Leo energy, Aquarius energy, as well as, let me see here, Aries. There are a lot of signs in general, but like the major players, I feel Leo, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Aries and Cancer. So lots of people in the spread. But this fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, I feel like they've really, really captured your attention. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of, there's like really strong attraction between you and this person. It's very, very, very strong. And this person is so independent. And I honestly feel like they're blunt, they're straightforward. They communicate in a way where, no holds bar. Don't read between the lines. Listen to what I'm telling you. I'm going to say it in as few words as possible. So I feel like this is someone who can be a really good ally to you if it's a person that you're interested in. I feel like you've dealt with somebody that made a lot of emotional demands on you, that gave you a lot of restrictions or rules as to how to operate. And I also feel like the relationship might not have been completely balanced, mainly because the communication style. One person is very cryptic when they communicate. And it could be you or it could be the other person. And so what I feel coming in is, what's really interesting is we have all 4 queens in the deck. We have the Queen of Cups here, the Queen of Wands, Queen of Swords, and the Queen of Pentacles. And so I feel like it doesn't really matter the person that you're dealing with. They're just a really straight shooter. And they're making their intentions known, okay? They might have offered you something. I'm seeing this flower, which is like, let's be friends and see where things go. I'm not going to make it a heavy emotional burden on you because I'm independent too. And I know that relationships can, like the romance and the love can be diminished if one person is too dependent on the other for things that they should have, worked out on their own. Okay, so they're not making emotional demands or they're not making a big emotional burden on you. And I feel like you fear that. If they are so independent, if they are so, independent and just attractive and popular, why do they want to be with me? And if they're not if they're not demanding a commitment from me, then I can't demand a commitment on them. So that means they're free to go and see other people. And I feel like that triggers a lot of anxieties within you. And I feel like you're trying to, in your external environment, we have here the Chariot, which is a Cancerian vibe. But I feel like this is a situation where you're trying really, really hard to move things along with another person that you might not see eye to eye with, okay? So I have here the black and the white. What are they, Sphinx? They're the two elements that are moving the chariot along. But I feel like with this card in general, everything seems to me like it's set in stone. It's almost like you're moving boulders up a mountain. And you're kind of, this is the first time I'm seeing this. He's sort of dead-eyed. Like he has like dark circles around his eyes. He's tired, he's weary. And he's at a point where he's not really sure if this is even worth the struggle anymore. If you're dealing with an a water sign, excuse me, you might not feel like you're on the same page, and you might not feel like you want to move this forward anymore because it's gotten too difficult. There are bags under your eyes, you're tired, you're weary, and I feel like the Sphinx, they're set in stone, they're immobile, and they're not really moving forward, so they're like at a resting phase when this man wants to move the chariot along. So it's like, it requires a concerted effort from both parties, but only one person is doing the work, okay? In your hopes and fears, we have here the Queen of Pentacles, wanting financial stability, wanting the other person to share the burdens with you, or wanting the other person to share their resources with you. So you might be dealing with someone who's a little bit more tight-fisted, a little bit more self-interested, and so they're not really stepping up and moving things along with you. And in your outcome, we have the Emperor, needing to make the harder decision, okay? Needing to be honest and truthful and straightforward. And once again, whenever we have to make hard decisions are usually they're difficult for a reason. We're going to be conflicted. We're going to deal with a lot of like naysayers. We're also going to deal with kind of like this internal conflict that's raging on, and it's making it difficult for us to make the difficult decisions. With the Magician in the reverse, you feel like you want to give the other person a chance to be on board. You want to kind of lay everything out on the table so that the other person knows what they're dealing with, and then the other person is aware of all the choices that you are ready to make. So it's sort of like wanting the other person to also make this decision with you so that the two of you can come to a very fair agreement. And I have here the Devil as well, fearing that you're making the wrong decision, fearing that you don't have all the information, and also being very tied in and stuck with another person. I feel there is somebody here that you have really, really strong passion and chemistry towards, okay? You might be in a struggling relationship, so hence that temptation. You might also be on the tail end of one relationship, ready to jump into another. And I feel like you don't want to play the bad guy, so you're waiting for the other person to slip up or do something so that you can say, okay, that's my exit, that's my cue to exit. And you might also want the other person to make up their mind so that the responsibility of that decision making falls on them rather than on you. That's what I'm feeling here. Be decisive here, Libras. Be decisive. Okay? Look at what's in front of you and make your decision independent of what other people think or independent of what other people are telling you. Because in this state where you're kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place, you're trying to do the right thing, and you're waiting for the other person to make their decision so that it could serve as your cue to exit. And I feel like if you exit away from here, you're going to hit this devil, temptation, and things like that, even abuse of power. And if you were to move the other way, you're at a place where you can't really act, okay? So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So deferring to the other person to make their decision is not going to be in your best interest. I feel like you just need to step up and do this decision on your own. I hope the reading is helpful, Libras. For the past 2 weeks, I realized that, you know, the readings have been a little bit rough on you guys, and I don't know if it's the way I interpret, if things are a little bit harsh. I don't need to be harsh. I just feel like there's just a lot of stuck energy. Like, it's not decisive. It's not, things are not acted on. And, you know, I feel like that's just something that you kind of need to work on.